We'd like to thank BetChrisCanada.net for their support of the Hockey Betting Podcast. I'm Brian Blessing in sunny Las Vegas.
And I'm Cam Stewart in cold Toronto, Canada.
If you love hockey and you're in Canada, and Cam is, by the All-Star break, even if you can't stop thinking about taking a vacation someplace sunny and warm, but you don't want to miss out on any of the hockey action, look for a BetChris near your next holiday destination.
BetChris is one of the leading sports books in the Western Hemisphere, with hundreds of sports betting locations throughout the Caribbean and Latin America.
Watch the game at a BetChris location. Food and drink specials and VIP lounges are available at many BetChris locations. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open your BetChris account.
Place some bets on your game and collect your cash at the window when the game is over.
BetChris offers single bets, parlay bets, teasers, and more on pregame and live odds for hockey and all your favorite Canadian and American sports leagues. And BetChris offers a variety of team and player props, including futures.
BetChris offers the best value odds on Canadian and international sports. Use the promo code PODCAST when you open up your account at a BetChris location. Deposit $750 or more and get up to a 40% reduced commission on your sports bets, up to minus 106 on single bets and parlay bets. That's the best juice in the biz.
So, if you're planning a trip to exotic locations from the Caribbean and Mexico to Peru and almost everywhere in between, the odds are very good. There's a BetChris Sportsbook where you're going on holiday. For more information about visiting a BetChris location while you're on holiday or to listen to or subscribe to the Hockey Betting Podcast, visit BetChrisCanada.net. That's BetChrisCanada.net. Cam, you're Canadian. When you leave Canada and you're heading south, use the promo code PODCAST.
You're listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net. This is the Hockey Betting Preview for Monday, December 2nd, 2019. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Hockey Betting Podcast, Brian Blessing.
Oh boy, I love doing this. I love talking hockey. I love watching hockey. And I have a great time in the day talking to Cam Stewart about the hockey games that are on the way. It's just another day, Cammy, and starting a brand new week in the NHL. Post-Thanksgiving, where teams' fortunes are starting to be determined, and there are opportunities aplenty on the wagering board, my good friend.
You said it, Brian, man. It was great. Great week, too, over Thanksgiving. Went on a heater Thanksgiving Day. We hit a lot of stuff, and a lot of good information came true. You talked about, the zigzag factor. Buffalo, Toronto, a perfect example. We go over in the first game with the backup goaltenders. It's a shootout. Then we come back under. Great game. Buffalo wins in Buffalo. Leafs take it in overtime. It goes over in Buffalo, goes under in Toronto. We talk about that. I'll tell you, man, everything but that Canadiens-Bruins game on Sunday. Like, hockey's been pretty damn good right now. Let's keep the ball rolling.
There's no doubt. So let's dive in. 5 games on a Monday night, and the aforementioned Sabres, first game on the docket. Wow, this number's come down. It was $1.35. It's $1.20. Buffalo favored over Jersey. The total is 6. Now, there's only one way, Cam, that Jersey's winning this game. Louis Dominguez, the goalie. And that's if it's a letdown for Buffalo after playing against their bitter rivals, Toronto, and taking 3 of the 4 points on them over the weekend. And the reality is, the game in Toronto, it wasn't even close. Toronto won the game. The goalie can be a great equalizer. Anderson stole the game. Buffalo thoroughly outplayed them, hit the post and the crossbars a few times. The Sabres, even though the wins aren't there, they're now still right there. It looked like the season was going out of control, but they get 3 out of 4 against Toronto, and they're right there in the playoff discussion with trades to come. And the one thing for them, Eichel is on, as Cam would say, a Tootsie Roll. Jack Eichel is playing at the highest level. He's right at the top of the list. He's taken over games, and this team's really, I do think, Cam, they're heading in the right direction. And a big guy that came back was Johansson. Night and day different team. It's not just the first line. When Johansson plays, and Olmark is now the starting goalie, and he's back in action tonight.
That's the thing, and these are games you got to win if you're Buffalo, and you talked about it before. Snake bitten against Calgary when they were going through their mess. Calgary got the win, but Buffalo outplayed them. They gave up a late goal and pissed that game away. They've been good.
Rid it.
Yeah, Oh, Big Save Dave turned up to be Big Save Dave. That's he stood on his head. That's hockey betting, right?
And that is hockey betting. By the way, Rittich stole that game. And good, they came in disarray. Their coach was going to get fired at the time. But Rittich ends up being one of the top 3 stars in the week because of that game. The NHL just announced that.
Excellent point, and I want to give something out to the listeners. A lot of them who know hockey know this, but coaches are stubborn. A perfect example, you take the Edmonton Oilers. Mike Smith looks like he's out there. He's sprawling. He's slow. He's getting old. He gets smoked. I think he's hurt. And then when the Oilers start Koskinen the next time against Vancouver, they win the game as a dog. Like, some teams can't decide, Brian, who the starter and who the backup is. And if I'm Edmonton, I'm starting Koskinen. Just a point that I'm trying to make. Like, Buffalo's figured it out. You know what I mean? We have our starting goaltender now. A lot of teams, they go back and forth and back and forth. And it really bothers me because one guy makes a little bit more money. It doesn't matter. Just look at the results of the game night after night, and you've got to play the hot hand. It really bothers me when these teams keep firing in these guys who should be the backup goaltenders because they used to be good.
All right. Vegas is in New York to take on the Rangers. They got the 3-game swing there with the Rangers, Devils, and the Islanders. Vegas has won 2 in a row, Cam.
Yeah,
buddy, it is smoke and mirrors. With 0.3 seconds left, they tied
the
Nashville
game. Yeah.
Okay. Then they come home, and Subban played a great game for Vegas. Arizona, I thought, should have won the game in Vegas. Now he's a wonderful guy. Marc-Andre Fleury's dad passed away, so Subban is running the show here. Fleury likely to join the trip at some point in New York in the next few days. It'll be Malcolm Subban again, but laying $1.40, $1.50 on the road, not for me. I like the game over 6.
I actually have a lean to the Rangers too. The Rangers played Boston tough. They've been really competitive. They're a young team and they battle. The thing you're going to get with the Rangers is inconsistency. They can look like crap one night and they can look great the other night. But I'll tell you one thing, I wouldn't be laying 40, 50 cents with the Vegas Golden Knights either. You think there's going to be 7 goals, Brian, in this game? You see you think we can get there? That's a big total.
Subban is really good at home. A different animal on the road. And okay. Vegas defensively in their own end, just far too many chances they give up on a nightly basis.
I'm getting scared of these 6.5s, like with Montreal and Boston and stuff. Like,
this one's 6, right? This one's 6.
Oh, okay. At 6, yeah. I mean, at 6.5, I'm going to put the brakes on. But you got to think that the Rangers is at a dog price looks pretty damn good. Wish we were getting more than 20 cents, but I think I'm gonna go with the home team here, Brian. All
right, buddy. And then there's only one way to play this. Well, there's 2 ways. You could play the total. The Islanders at Detroit laying 210. The bottom line is that they lost 3 in a row, so
they're winning this game.
They're human, but they actually came back from a road trip and beat Columbus. I mean, you don't throw a parade for that, but I think this team should go on the road and just take care of business. It's puck line or nothing, I would think.
Yeah, for me, you play the Islanders -1.5 plus 115. You play them in a parlay at -210. You could find a dance partner with something else you like on the card. That's the way I'd be playing the game. You could take the Islanders in regulation, but yeah, I don't like to lay 210. I'm either going to have to parlay it with something, a total or a side, maybe Buffalo, maybe the Rangers, Brian, but I like the Islanders to beat down Detroit. That was a really disappointing Pacific road trip, and I think Barry Trotz, he's not screwing around. He'll have these guys ready to rock. I like the Islanders.
All right, bud. Let's move on to St. Louis at Chicago.
Oh, boy. Yikes.
What do you got?
Tough game. I just don't know what to do. Like, Chicago, they're getting money at home. The Blues, gritty hockey. They're playing, what can you say about St. Louis, Brian? They're starting to get that swagger. Earlier on in the year, they were fade material. Now they're playing. They still got injuries, too. It's tough.
Current form, Chicago, they got drilled.
Yes.
In back-to-back games by Colorado.
Exactly.
And it looked like Chicago turned the corner. They've lost 5 of 6.
I know. That's the thing. Like, I kind of want to come back to Chicago, but I don't have a lot of faith in them right now. It seems like a short price with the Blues at $1.30. Man, it's a tough game. I'd probably take St. Louis on the road. You got to believe Chicago shows up at home tonight. At least gives a good effort, Brian. I have no opinion of the total at 6.
And then, Cammy, the get-out game, Quick versus Gibson, Kings and Ducks. They don't like each other.
No, they don't.
We got that going for us. I don't know where the goals come from, but neither goalies. Poor Gibson. I think this guy just gets worn down.
He does. I like Anaheim. I don't like the price. I think Anaheim wins this game. The Kings feeling good about themselves. Big win. Thing is, they caught the Jets like at the tail end of a road trip. They've been very lucky catching tired teams. They've been playing better lately, but you got to see the situation. A lot of teams playing LA have been, pretty beat down and tired. So I think Anaheim, heated rivalry. I don't like the 50 cents. I wish it was about a quarter or 30 cents, but this might be my parlay partner with the Islanders. Come to think of it, I like the Ducks. Quack, quack, quack. They should get it done, but you're right. They drive Gibson into the ground.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website betchriscanada.net. All right, let's go to Tuesday. And all right, Cam, this is the kind of stuff we try to dissect for you here. To go read between the lines. In all sports, you got to do it. I mean, like I said, the Thursday game in Thanksgiving Day, I'm standing there talking, the Cowboys and the Bills, there's all this stuff going on. Yeah, no, the thing is, you got three guys that should have made the Pro Bowl last year that are never on national TV.
Yep.
Watch it, those are the kind of things that are difference makers. Mm-hmm. And I will throw one at you right now. We're sitting there saying we're not sure about Vegas tonight against the Rangers. Well, they're playing New Jersey tomorrow. So Buffalo is hosting New Jersey tonight. Vegas is playing the Rangers. Vegas is just going to go back to their hotel room. Jersey has to fly home to play a game that Vegas is just going to take a bus to. I love Vegas tomorrow. I think it's Woodshed City. It might be one of the few games until they really find their groove again. I just think the scheduling situation, Vegas should roll them tomorrow. The only question would be
the goaltending.
Does Fleury rejoin the team tomorrow?
Or Sparks? If Sparks could play in this game.
If it's not Fleury coming back, although he is listed, I think he may get back. I don't know. His dad's funeral may be today, but if not, it's Sparks, and that guy's coming in to be highly motivated to prove something to the organization. I just think Vegas tilts the ice on these guys tomorrow.
I got to tell you something. When Sparks was the backup goalie in Toronto, I thought he was better than Hutchison. Mm-hmm. And Hutchison still, they got him back. Like the Leafs backup goaltender.
You're better than Hutchison.
Yeah. I don't understand it, right? Like Sparks, sure, he wasn't brilliant, but Anderson's a really good starter, and it was tough on Sparks because Anderson played all the damn time because he's so much better than everybody.
No, Sparks' problem was you had the soap opera that ended up blowing up this year, but you had the fight with Dubas and Babcock, and the fight was over Garrett Sparks. That's what it was all about. Babcock wanted to keep McElhaney. And Dubas is saying, I think Sparks, he was talking about him like he was Ken Dryden. And he traded McElhaney, and that set the whole thing aflame.
To the Hurricanes and all this other crap. Yeah, I know.
And then Sparks, the guy who, it wasn't his fault that the GM thought that way, but this guy can't help himself, and he's in the room after a loss calling out guys. So the guys in the room, get this guy the hell out of here. I mean, he's a good goalie. It was his big mouth got him shipped out of Toronto.
Yeah, that's another thing, and he didn't have the right to really have an opinion. It's frustrating, though, because you play your ass off in the American Hockey League, then you get called up. You don't really play very much. You don't play well. He's got a new life in Vegas, and that's the thing. Is he going to have a good attitude? I'll tell you one thing. If he does make his debut, it's interesting. Most people would fade a guy in that situation. It's probably a play-on situation. Even without Fleury, Brian, you got to think the guy's ready to rock because he can't be screwing around. If this doesn't work out in Vegas, he might not be playing in the National Hockey League ever again. This could be his last stop.
Back-to-back nights for the Islanders. We think they're going to roll against the Red Wings. Then they got to go to Montreal to take on the Habs, who are dog's breakfast right now.
Nice. Oh, God. Man, this team has got problems. Even the one-goal lead in Boston, you knew that wasn't going to last. The Montreal Canadiens are falling fast and furious. It's unbelievable. The Leafs are playing better. The Canadiens playing awful. Buffalo, they're letting this Really interesting team, Brian. We talked about Montreal and the work ethic, and I feel bad for Claude Julien. The defense falling apart. Carey Price is not the same goaltender because he's getting sold out by forwards who don't come back. It's a real problem. They don't play a total game. And now you're playing the Islanders, a team that's very disciplined. That's tough. Montreal, I can tell you one thing, though. They're going to be desperate. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at the Islanders in this game. They can't keep on losing.
Talk about two named teams that, honestly, you can't trust on paper. Wow, this should be fun to watch, but I don't know who shows up. Tampa and Nashville. I mean, they're both Jekyll and Hyde.
They are, and I probably will stay away from this game. I would lean Tampa. I'll tell you one thing. I like taking the Predators on the road rather than them at home. They've been very disappointing to me. I think when they go on the road, they play a better brand of hockey. As for Tampa Bay, you talked about it. Disappointing. I never know what team's going to show up. They get shady goaltending. Vasilevsky's better. Their backups are brutal. It's a tough game, Brian. I think I'm going to have a hard pass or the Lightning in that game.
All right. Then we get Ottawa at Vancouver. And the funny thing is, we did our podcast last week, but you and I talked on the phone over the weekend, and Vancouver pumped Edmonton, and both you and I said, "Oh,
get them on Sunday."
This is a gift from the gods. You got to come right back with Edmonton at a deflated price, and Edmonton beat Vancouver. But I actually see some goals in this game out of confidence.
I do too. Ottawa can score goals. I think they want to play an up-tempo style. Vancouver can score goals. As I mentioned before about Edmonton, I think Koskinen should be their starter and Mike Smith should be the backup. That's a story for another day. I like Vancouver in this spot, though. I'll tell you one thing about Ottawa. They had that game really close against Minnesota, and then the Wild rattled off 7. We'll see what happens, but you're right. I tend to lean with the home team and the over, Ottawa and Vancouver.
And it's a really cool story, that not a lot of people are talking about. Okay, it's Thanksgiving, and you look at the standings. Well, let me tell you something, bud. San Jose got drilled by Vegas in the first 2 games of the year, which was to be expected. Everybody, Vegas is great, San Jose's bad. San Jose just was a mess in the beginning. Vegas won those 2 games, and they've been a mess since. But San Jose, 8-2 in their last 10, big winning streak, and they look like they were an inch away from having their season get away from them. They've come roaring back and are all the way back up into 3rd place in the Pacific. They're going to be there at the end. Anytime you roll Carlson and Burns out there, you got a shot. But their goaltending is suspect. I love the over, San Jose and Washington.
I agree. I think there's going to be goals galore in that game. I'm with San Jose too. I think they're going to start Dell Computers a lot more than Jones. I think he's actually a pretty decent backup who should play more. Washington, they love to play pond hockey up and down, and San Jose can score on them because Washington's style, it's an attacking one where they like to play shinny hockey. You're right, Brian. I could see like a 6-4 type of game. Lean to Washington, but I see goals galore in Capitals and Sharks for sure. SJ Sharkey, good call by you though. Chomp, chomp, chomp. SJ Sharkey's playing good hockey. They could have waved the white flag there, but they're really grinding, and they're veteran players. The old guys, that's what happens in hockey. A little bit tired, they're older guys in the summer. It takes them a while to get acclimated, but their veteran players are playing really well right now. Real old guys. So I guess the Metamucil and Allbrand, it's working, Brian.
Well, it's funny though, Cam, when professional money, sharp money, blah blah. But just betting in general, and how we always warned, don't go overboard with what you last witnessed. I said all summer, I thought the worst number. Now they may have gotten off to such a slow start that, and the division may be bad enough that they don't get there. But I'm like, are you telling me San Jose is not going to be in the playoffs? And their season total was 94.5 points. 95 is usually the cutoff to make the playoffs. And, so anyway, they get off to this horrific start. And I had a guy tell me, because I think he was more of a fan, hated San Jose because of the way they beat Vegas. And he goes, San Jose's going to be terrible. I said, no, they're not. They get off to this horrible start. And this is about, and it started the day this guy sent me the text. I told you San Jose was going to be terrible. And I'm like, talk to me in 3 months. Well, it ain't even 3 months. It's talk to me in 3.5 weeks. The teams go through highs and lows, and it's all about striving for consistency. San Jose, whatever nonsense was going on, they found a groove, and whatever. I mean, you just can't. It's just the moral of the story is don't overreact to what you last witnessed. And in this stupid league, no, not stupid league. We love it. But the difference 2 weeks can make. A 5-game winning streak, you're out of the playoffs. You could be, treading water with bowling balls strapped to your ankles, and then you got a 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look at Montreal right now. They were playing good, and now they're in big trouble. Like, it happens, right? You go on a cold streak for so long, now they just got to get on a heater and figure some things out. One game we failed to mention, Brian, it's interesting, too. I wonder what the line will be in the Panthers-Wild game. Dredger, the goaltender, in his first start got a shutout in his game, in his debut. They've already talked about Bobrovsky, horrible start, being benched. And that's an interesting story with the Panthers right now. We know they have the talent. If they get any type of goaltending, watch out for the Florida Panthers. Disappointing people year after year. This could be the year. If this Dredger guy could figure it out, team is going to be damn scary.
All right. And again, you try to plot a course and look to the future. That's what this podcast is all about. I'm telling you, this is a dangerous game today, the Buffalo-Jersey game, only because if it's a letdown. But I'm telling you, I think in the next little bit, I think Buffalo's going to go on a heater. They're showing signs of going back to what they were in the beginning, and they got the rematch at Calgary. They killed Calgary, and the goalie beat them. So they're going to be a big plus. Oh, they lost to Calgary at home. Calgary would be like, minus $1.60 in that game. Then they're going to Vancouver, who's just horrible in their own end. I'm just saying the next, 3 games or so, I can see Buffalo going on a little push. And then and we'll talk about it Thursday, Sunday, just in terms of entertainment, Eichel versus McDavid. On Sunday. That'll be a good one.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's going to be a great game. And I'm with you. I've already bet Buffalo minus 25 cents. The line's going to go up. If you like the Sabres, bet it now against the Devils, Brian. And I agree with you. We watched both of those games against the Leaf. Buffalo, they really look like they're coming together. If they get any type of goaltending, watch out.
All right, my friend. Any other teams that recently you're fading, playing on? Any little trends you spotted here before we wrap this up?
Not real trends. Chicago, we talked about them before. They're a team that I always thought they had problems, and they were kind of playing well, but I think they're a team we can jump on, Brian. And you talk about Leonard, they're a different goalie, but if they don't get any type of goaltending from him, I think the Blackhawks are a team we should really start looking for overs. You know what I mean? I know they're playing St. Louis Tuesday, tonight. It's just one of those teams. I don't trust the Blackhawks. I think they score goals, but I don't believe in their defense and goaltending. I think we can get a lot of overs, and if we can find 6s there, I think we can capitalize.
And unless it was just a function of the matchup and, they mauled them, I think I could see Colorado going on a little heater here. Their next game Wednesday, Colorado at Toronto. That is a game, man. Watching McKinnon going against that Leafs defense, my goodness. And then they're at Montreal. I think Colorado game's over the total on that road trip. Yeah. Over, and then they got the game at Boston, which may be just one to watch. But
and one quick one, Minnesota's really hot right now, but I think that comes to an end real quickly. They've been beating teams, winning in shootouts. I don't think the Wild are as good as they're playing. I got to give them a lot of credit. They've been winning games, overachieving, but I just don't know how the hell the Wild are doing it, Brian. So they're another team that's going to be on the fade list. I don't think they can keep this up.
I think what we're seeing that, Boston and St. Louis are playing, great hockey, but so many of these teams, I swear to you, Cammy, you look at the standings, and in a weird way, more and more in the last couple of years, specifically to me, unless I was just late to the party, but I look at it like I'm looking at the Major League Baseball standings in the summer. Look at it. Montreal's lost 8 in a row. The Flyers have won 4. The Blues and Avs have won 3. I'm telling you, the inconsistent teams, it's like, okay, 4-game win streak, 4-game losing streak. So honestly, it's trying to identify, ride it out, but when one of those streaks ends, a hot streak, ride it out, because you're going to get inflated numbers and come back the other way. Because some of these teams, they're slightly better than 500 teams, but the problem is there's not a lick of consistency.
Exactly. No, I agree with everything that you're saying. And, see the forest through the trees, as you talk about, Brian, like back-to-backs with teams. Take a look. Look at the back-to-backs. Buffalo wins, Toronto wins. Vancouver, they get the first, Edmonton gets the second, kind of like a doubleheader in baseball. Doesn't happen all the time, but there's angles that you can play and help to make us a lot of money. And we'll see what happens with these totals too. It's going to be interesting. One of these guys is going to start posting some sevens on the board with some shaky goaltending. Something to keep our eye on, Bri.
All right, my friend. Listen, we love being with you at betchriscanada.net. And you check the website out and look at the home picture on the beach in the island. And I don't know, Cammie, let's get a hot week and maybe we can
exactly. Let's get on a heater and go to somewhere hot. I'm so tired of shoveling snow.
No, we can go to the beach and run freckles together.
Exactly. Creamsicle. Yeah, that's the thing, Brian. Bring the sunblock. I need titanium level. 80 doesn't get it done.
You're tanning on the beach with
as we finish this podcast, I'm going to go out and shovel my neighbor's driveway now because she's an old lady. See, I'm not such a bad guy.
Yeah, all these people, scantily clad women in bikinis, and people walking up and down, and you're lying there tanning with a Kevlar vest on.
Yeah, I look like a bag of milk. Anyway, that's milk, man. Good luck with the picks, everybody. I need to get somewhere hot.
You've been listening to the Hockey Betting Podcast, presented by BetChrisCanada.net.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website, BetChrisCanada.net.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and/or interpersonal relationships. At BetChrisCanada.net and the Hockey Betting Podcast, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.